Hello, good afternoon, and welcome everyone, especially to all the students that have joined in. Thank you very much. We now have Jamie, who will be going through the personal branding workshop for today. So I'll pass it over to you, Jamie.
Lovely, thank you very much, Sabath. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for popping in some good mornings and hellos in the chat box for those that have. The chat box is open, so pop any questions in there as we go. We're scheduled for an hour. The presentation should last about 35 to 40 minutes and allow some time for some questions at the end. Any questions you've got, pop them in the chat box so I've got a note of them. The session today is about personal branding. Really important personal branding, especially now at the moment, because the graduate job market is quite competitive. In 2019, there was 19 applications on average for every graduate position, and as high as 200 for some and as low as 8 for others. In 2020, there is an average of 27 graduate applications per position, and some as high as 800 and as low as 36. They're the recent stats that have been sort of shared with us by the major graduate employers. So really important to be aware of your personal brand and have a really strong personal brand. You'll notice there's a QR code on this slide, and there's a QR code on every other slide. The QR code, for those that don't know how to use a QR code, you just scan it with your camera on your phone and then click on the web link, and that takes you through to registration page. It's a 3-step process, and you register your details with us, and then I then can personally help you apply for graduate level positions and 12-month graduate placement opportunities. So it really is worthwhile registering your details, even if you're not looking for a position now. By registering your details, you get access to myself as a recruiter, and I dedicate a portion of my time to the wonderful students at your university, because we like hiring them. So I'm going to move on to the first slide. So the chat box open. So come on, I want to see some typing in there, please. Can someone name these brands for me? There's a few people in. We're in. Skoda, brilliant. Skoda. People like cars, clearly. Anything else? Any other ones that we can spot? Yeah, Hollister, Fred Perry. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Okay, next slide. Let's keep it going. Everyone's favorite chicken, top left. Ryanair, Nando's. Everyone loves a cheeky Nando's. Starbucks. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. You're awake, you're listening, and you know the brands. The reason why I always start with like just pulling brands up to get people to look at the brands and sort of look at what they represent is it's really interesting that would somebody be able to recognize you from your digital profile? Would somebody be able to yeah, Enterprise, bottom left, good spot. Morgan, would someone be able to like differentiate you by your digital presence or by the brand that you represent or portray through an application form? And it's really important because if you see a brand like Nando's, you know it's a brand that's synonymous with delicious spicy chicken, or not so spicy if you go for the non-spicy option. But you know what it represents, and when you apply for jobs, you are at a disadvantage if you haven't got a great brand, both digitally and when you present yourself in the interview situation. And the reason for that is because a recruiter or a graduate employer, all they really get to see is that really snapshot of your brand. So it's really important to be conscious of what a brand is. So what is a personal brand? Your brand is an expression of who you are, and whether you like it or not, you already have one. It is how other people perceive you. Everybody on this call, myself included, has a personal brand. And you can really change and dictate how that brand is perceived and therefore used. And that's what I want to talk to you about over the next sort of half an hour on this session. Okay, so I'm going to start off with just by talking about the STAR technique. The STAR technique is one of my favorite techniques. You can use it for so many things. It's basically broken down. It's an acronym for situation, task, action, and result. And you can apply this to a branding exercise, because when a brand really sort of tells a story, it sets the scene. You see the Nando's sign, you know that if you go to Nando's, you're going to present it with an authentic Portuguese chicken experience. The task is providing you with great service and great chicken. The action is you eat it, enjoy it, and the result is you keep going back and back again. And the STAR technique, you can also apply it to the way you answer questions and the way you structure your responses. So if someone asks you a question, what can you tell me a little bit about your previous work experience? I used to work at Costa Coffee, versus I used to work at Costa Coffee as part of the barista team. Whilst working there, I was in charge of serving front of house, looking after customers. Part of my duties were customer service, sales, upgrade, selling people up into the little flake and the marshmallows and the cream. And the result was I actually was awarded Employee of the Month and progressed to managerial position. Look at the difference in the responses. So I want you to think about the STAR technique throughout this entire presentation, because it really is a very powerful tool to help you. For those that have just joined, all you missed was some brands we pulled up, and there's a QR code in the top right of every slide. If you scan the QR code and register your details with Enterprise with myself, I can then help you apply for graduate level management training roles and graduate level placement opportunities and opportunities at our regional head offices. Okay, so your brand is made up of 2 circles with a center quartile. So your brand, how you see yourself and how others see you. When the 2 merge, that formulates your personal brand. Now, the key with a personal brand is having synergy, so there is a distinct direct correlation, so they are the same. How you see yourself needs to be how others see you. So if you think you've got an amazing CV, but you've not had anybody else look at your CV to give you an opinion of whether that CV is good or not, when you put that CV in front of somebody else, often what you find is they might make suggestions or areas of opportunity or improvement, perhaps. And that's because they're looking at it differently to you. So it's really important to get that expert opinion. Now, you've got a fantastic careers team in your university, in your organisation. So it's really important to get the careers team to help you, get friends and family to help you, and people like myself that are offering support and advice and help. Use the resources that are around you. Okay, so how can you start building your brand now? There's loads of ways you can do it. One of the key ways that I often refer to is volunteering. Now, volunteering used to be going down to your local charity shop, offering your time and helping out selling secondhand clothes or whatever it might be. Now, things have moved on. There is you can do the whole charity shop thing, but there's so many ways to volunteer your time. You can mentor people. You can offer your time to be part of societies. You can join clubs, organisations. You can volunteer your time to help out with careers activities, engagement opportunities. But the key thing is making sure you explain that as part of your branding exercise. Because if you do volunteer, by not articulating that and explaining it to the people around you, you're missing a huge opportunity. When we recruit people and the application forms come in, there's a section at the bottom of our application forms, and it's a little U section. And the section there allows you to talk about things that are on this slide. And people fail to do that. And that often hinders their application. So talking about volunteering, getting work experience, paid work experience is fantastic. People often don't talk about the paid work experience in the right format. We talked about the STAR technique. So think about the jobs you've done. No matter what the jobs are, if you apply the STAR technique to explain the actions and the situation, the task and the outcome of everything you've done in that role, you would be amazed at how many transferable skills you've learned and are able to sort of take forward into any applications that you put in. So use your careers team. Practice public speaking and engage on social media. I'm going to talk a little bit more about social media shortly. Now, in terms of the practicing public speaking, really important to practice both virtually and to practice both face-to-face, because we've all spent our entire time in academic and work life being told that it's all about a firm handshake, walking into a room and sitting up straight and having a fantastic presence in front of an interviewer. But unfortunately, a lot of that's been taken away with COVID, and we're now in a situation where we are doing things virtually. So it's really important to make sure you're comfortable talking and presenting in that virtual arena. Okay, so how can you promote your brand? So there's lots of ways. The number one way to promote your brand is performance, performance, performance. If every time you went to Nando's and you presented with chicken that was undercooked, didn't taste very good, and the prices were doubled overnight, the performance of the outlet, no matter how good the brand was, no matter how familiar we were with that brand, the brand's performance fails. And that's why it's critically important. If you may think about the slide that I showed a couple of slides back, we had the 2 circles. Now, how your brand is perceived needs to be the same digitally, needs to be the same as how your brand is perceived virtually or face-to-face. So if you put on your brand profiling, i.e. your CV, your application, your LinkedIn profile, you put on there that I'm a charismatic entrepreneur that really enjoys working as part of a team. And then when you get in front of somebody in an interview and you're not charismatic and don't talk about working as part of a team, there's a disconnect. And the person interviewing you is going to be looking at that and thinking, well, the brand that I saw on the LinkedIn profile or the application form and the CV doesn't appear to be the brand that I've got in front of me today. So it's not just about how you position yourself digitally, virtually. It's about how that translates into that sort of face-to-face or virtual sort of interaction. So digital appearance, and we will move on to that shortly. Appearance, again, super important. How you look virtually, face-to-face, and how you look digitally. Again, we'll talk about that shortly. And then communication. Make sure any verbal communication or written communication is what you want to communicate. Once you've communicated something, it's very hard to uncommunicate it, especially in the virtual world we live in. So think about what you're sharing and what you're talking about. And also reviewing where your brand is and taking a step back and asking other people to help review your brand, you as a person. And then networking, super important. The 20 people that are on this call, you've taken a fantastic opportunity to network with me. So follow me on LinkedIn after this session. Look me up, Jamie Wolf. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'll always accept your application, and then you'll then get access to my posts. You'll see the people I operate and communicate with. You can link with them, and that's how you start building that sort of wider LinkedIn network, which is a really powerful professional tool to help you gain both experience, commercial awareness, and potential employment. And again, obviously, I spoke about the QR code top right. Super network tool there. Connect on that, and again, you've got access to me then from now, or as long as you need it, as long as I'm working for enterprise in this role, to help you with any applications in the future. So let's have a look at what networking actually is. Okay, so networking. It's just about making connections. Now, we're networking today on this session. A few people put some comments in the chat. You've joined this room, and you potentially going to link with myself. That's the first part of networking. And how networking sort of develops from there is it's about putting yourself out your comfort zone. And people such as myself, prior to COVID, in the position that I held, the amount of interactions I got through social media and LinkedIn and our sort of enterprise careers page, I wouldn't say it was massively prevalent, but since COVID's kicked in, everyone's been stuck indoors, that has ramped up massively. So I think nothing now of getting contacted via LinkedIn by candidates or potential candidates saying, hey, Jamie, I've noticed Enterprise has got graduate roles. I've looked at your career history on LinkedIn. It looks really interesting. Would you mind linking with me and let me know about any opportunities? That's a great way of networking. It shows real sort of drive and insight. The other way is if you've got to your first interview, find out who's doing your interview and connect with that person prior to the interview. By whatever method you can find them on social media. Again, a really polite introduction, just to say, hey, my name's Jamie. You're interviewing me in a week's time. Thank you very much for confirming the interview. Just wanted to connect with you and introduce myself before the meeting. Because then you probably submitted a CV, you probably submitted an application form, but then the recruiter gets a chance to look at your fantastic professional profile on whatever platform you've used to connect with them. And the beauty of that is it just creates more memorable moments for the interviewer and you, which will hopefully lead to you getting employed. And that's all about that branding position. The other massively important thing is industry awareness and commercial awareness are super important to help you in the interview situation itself. So when you get in front of a recruiter, either face-to-face or on a video, what you'll find is there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions. By being commercially aware, you can ask fantastic questions because you're aware of the commercial environment the company operates in and ask interesting questions. The other really important tool about being commercially aware is it'll help you tailor the way you present your application, the way you present your CV, and potentially the way you present yourself in the interview. Because you'll be conscious of the sort of things which are important to that industry or the company you've applied to. If you looked at the commercial lens of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the company I work for, you would know that we're a family-owned global company that did 19 billion in revenue, has over 10,000 employees, and operates in over 300 countries across the world. And fundamental to everything we do is our people and our customers. By furnishing yourself with that information allows you then to use those touch points when you're talking to the person doing the recruiting, and it shows to them that you want the job and that you care. Okay, so building that personal brand in a digital world. There's so many different platforms. This is the first time that I've used a big blue button platform. That's a bit of a mouthful after a morning of webinars. So you might be asked to interview on Zoom, Blackboard, Google Hangout, FaceTime, MS Teams. They're all there. Blue Jeans, WhatsApp. So the key is, in terms of think about it. When you enter the room for your interview, that's still part of your branding exercise. Now, if you went to a traditional face-to-face interview in an office, you would walk in the office. You would probably say, in fact, you'd probably look on the Google Maps how to get there first. You'd then Google it to get there, or get an Uber. You then go into the reception. You introduce yourself. You probably be asked to sit and wait, where you get to calm your nerves, relax a little bit, have a look around the place. You then be called for your interview. You walk down the office, go and sit down in a room in front of a person, and there might be a little sort of 5-minute chat period or 2-minute chat period when you walk from reception to the interview office with the person that's interviewing you. Now, when you're interviewing virtually, that doesn't happen. You get given a time, and you jump on a platform such as this. The screen's dark. Somebody then admits you into the interview room, and your camera turns on, and bang, you're there in front of the person that's going to be making a decision about you. That is part of your branding. That is part of your exercise. If the camera lights up and somebody can't see you because your lighting's bad and you're really dark, or in fact, you didn't realize the camera's going to be on and you're dressed inappropriately, or your background's not suitable for the situation you're in, that's part of your branding. So make sure you check your tech, make sure your tech works, make sure you're happy with the platform you're using, and make sure you're happy with the way that the camera works, the way that you're going to come across and be portrayed. Really important. And just want to make a point at this stage, prior to COVID, so prior to March, the proportion of our interview process that was either online or over the phone was 15%. Our interview process now is 75% virtual. 75% virtual. So you've got to be good and confident at delivering virtually. Okay, so how do you build a skill set in a digital network? So there's some really key things, and it's about removing distractions, making sure that you're well aware of what's going on, that you're conscious of your environment, you're well energized, you're fully ready, and you can give your full attention to the person on the other side of the screen. Because again, think about the mindset, and this is all about branding. It's all about how you brand yourself. Think about the mindset. When you go for an interview in an office, you put a suit on, you walk to the office, you go into reception, mentally you're prepared. When you go for an interview virtually, you'll probably walk from your kitchen to your lounge, or from your lounge to your bedroom, or from your bedroom to your dining room, wherever that might be. And what you've got to remember is, when you do that, you've got to get yourself ready. You've got to get yourself in that right mindset, because how you come on screen is how that person first visualizes that brand. That's like when you walk into Nando's and you see all the jazzy stuff on the wall, and you smell the delicious chicken. And when your computer turns on and your camera goes live, that is the first impression probably of you as a brand, as a person that person's going to see. So get it right first time. Okay, so we spoke a little bit about LinkedIn. So if you're going to use LinkedIn, make sure there's no point in setting up a LinkedIn profile and using it if it's not professional, if it isn't complete. This is a huge part of your digital networking tool and your digital networking branding platform. So if you set yourself up a LinkedIn profile, as you work through the various sort of fields and settings, and as you get better at updating things, you'll get a ranking from LinkedIn. They give you a like a novice, advanced ranking. So the minimum ranking I would recommend you to go out and get is an all-star ranking. To get that, it'll probably take you an afternoon, because you just need to sit and just really fill it out methodically and make sure it's really, really comprehensive. Now, I mentioned before, feel free to link me on LinkedIn. And you can look at my profile. Mine is an all-star ranked profile, and based on the way I've laid it out and the information that's on there. And I use LinkedIn now probably for 20 to 25% of my actual recruitment activities. It's a fantastic tool, and it's got even more popular with the sort of COVID and the digital landscape we sit in. So I would really recommend using that tool, because like I said, there's nothing more powerful than when somebody invites you for an interview, that you reach out to them, as people do with me all the time, and say, hey, Jamie, just wondering if you'd link with me. I've had a look at your profile. You're doing my interview in a week's time or a month's time. Really excited about it. Thank you very much. And I accept it. I have a look at their profile. Often like what I see, it's well laid out. That's why they've connected. And then I've got the application form, the CV, and I've had a little look into a bit more depth in terms of their actual profiling. So really important. And I don't do this, and my colleagues don't do this, because it's just something we steer away from. But what you'll often find is when you apply for a position, often you might notice that somebody from the organisation you've applied to has had a little look at your digital sort of profile. You can, on LinkedIn, it tells you someone's looked at your profile. It might not tell you the name, but it'll tell you the organisation they work in. So you might just see an employee at Enterprise or an employee at wherever has viewed your profile, and that's because they're checking you out. They're having a look at the person they're going to be interviewing in a month's time or a week's time. So again, just think about that. Is what's on there what you want people to see? Because if it's not, then make sure you change it to appropriate content. Okay, network, super important. We spoke about it already. The best place to network, build your commercial awareness, and learn a lot about an employer is the careers website. So you'll see just underneath the network is our careers web space. Now, think about it. When an employer, a graduate employer such as us, which we employ a lot of graduates and placement students every single year all across the UK, we want to attract the best talent. So our careers website is really good. Everything we're proud of is on our careers website. Everything that we want people to know about is on our careers website. Anything that's exciting in the future that we're hoping to do as an organisation, guess what? It's on our careers website. So you can probably build a really strong commercial awareness from most graduate employers' careers website, because it's a marketing tool, and it'll tell you a lot about the role you're applying for and the company you're applying to. So I really would recommend having a look at it. If you look at our careers website, you'll see loads of stuff on there about diversity and inclusion, loads of stuff on there about the kind of employees that we like to employ. And you'll see lots of really powerful employee profiles from people from all different demographics and background. And that's because we're proud of that. So you learn about that as a potential applicant. When you apply, as part of your branding and the way you position yourself in the interview, guess what? You talk about those things and ask questions about that. That shows you've done your research, and it'll also the person interviewing you will be able to relate to it because they work for that organisation. So it's a really powerful tool. And again, there's more than just the careers websites. You've got all the platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Insta. No doubt employers will be on TikTok in 2021, the way TikTok's trending, but we're not on there yet. I can assure you that. Okay. Next slide. So the from a and this is just a little follow on from the points that I was making on the last slide. So in terms of all these pictures are taken from our careers website, and you can see there's a sort of real blend on there. There's stuff to do with International Women's Day. Our CEO is one of the top ranked females in the US from a business perspective, and we're very proud of our female leadership. So that's something we really promote. We've done we've won loads of awards. We're a Times Top 100 employer, Times Top 50 where women want to work employer. We've won numerous diversity awards, Stonewall. And we've also recently won 2019 Rate My Placement and Placement awards, which we've been working really hard to be part of. So just from our perspective, you would find so much about enterprise from just looking at our space. And the things are on there, like I said in the last slide, we're proud of. We're really proud of and want people to be aware of. So super important that we kind of share that information with you, and then you can use that information as part of your interview and as part of your decision-making process. Do I want to work for this employer? Well, yeah, I think I do. Well, okay, let me go out and get as much information about them as I can. So when I go into the interview, my brand is as powerful and as strong as it can be. So if you think about it, when we started this presentation, we spoke about personal brand. We spoke about what a brand is. We then looked at your digital brand. What does your digital brand represent? And we then spoke about making sure that the way you perceive your brand is the same as how others perceive your brand. So when you put yourself in front of somebody, there's no disconnect, and you really are the genuine person that you presented yourself as. And then when you get to the interview stage, it's all about being commercially aware. It's all about positioning yourself and you as a brand really positively. So when you get in front of the recruiter, either face-to-face or virtually, what they're seeing is what you want them to see and how you want them to perceive you, a smart, intelligent, intellectual, professional person, which no doubt is what the majority of people, if not all the people on this call are. But it's like, will you purvey that and present that at your next opportunity? So again, it's really important to think about these things, and I can't stress enough. I mean, I'll give you an example. We launched our graduate opportunities 3 weeks ago. We launched our summer placement opportunities, and we launched our summer graduate start opportunities and some immediate start opportunities, because we're seeing growth in certain areas of our business. Now, we've had to put the summer start opportunities on hold. We've had to freeze the jobs because the level of applications has been unprecedented. We've had more applications than we've ever had. And that's I think, is synonymous or in relation to the concern with the COVID climate we kind of find ourselves in. So the competition's quite strong and the competition's quite high. We said before, graduate applications have gone up. Applications per position has gone up from 2020, from 2019 through to 2020. Another stat for you as well, 350,000 people on average graduate every year in the UK. That number's not going to get any smaller, but there's a potential there may be less jobs to go around. So it's all about, if you can be aware of your personal brand and position yourself really front and center and have a fantastic digital brand and personal brand, both from a interview perspective and application perspective, that will strengthen your application. And often you only get maybe 2 interviews to convince a person on the other side of the screen or face-to-face that you're the right person for the job. So by being conscious of your brand will only help. I just wanted to talk a little bit about enterprise and the positions that we have available. Now, this is really, really important because there's branding exercises within all of this. So obviously, if we've had a fantastic personal brand and secured a position, everybody, myself included, I always tell my story at this point on the slides. So I think it's really, really good to share it. I've worked for Enterprise for 17 years. It'll be 18 years in July. I started as a graduate management trainee in Doncaster, which is a little town up north near Sheffield. I went to university, didn't know what I wanted to do, and essentially did a business and HR degree, applied to a general management position to sort of figure out what I was good at. And within a year, I was a management assistant. Within 2 years, I was a branch manager, running an operational depot with about 5 graduates in it. I then got promoted to 3 further depots. So in the end, I was running a super depot with about 25 graduates and managing a rolling inventory of around £1 million a month. I then got promoted to be a regional manager, so I looked after a couple of regions of Enterprise where I had 12 stores under my charge. Did that for 6 years. I then I had the HR in my locker, so I decided I wanted to then rebrand myself, reposition myself. So I retrained with Enterprise's help, and then I became a recruitment manager. I ran a team of recruiters in the East Midlands. I then retrained again and then moved down to Cardiff, to Wales, moved my wife and 4 kids 4 years ago, and I took up a position of HR manager. And then I recently moved into the digital marketing space and university engagement, which is where I find myself today talking to yourselves. So the reason I wanted to share that is because it just shows you the sort of career path you can have with a company like Enterprise, where you've got that real general graduate management offering. and it helps you figure out what you're good at. I initially thought I went to go on the HR route, but then I spent the last 12 years working in operations because that's where my passion lied, and I found I was particularly good at it. And then I've reverted back to kind of like my HR route. So it just goes to show that I think it's important to get to know yourself. Now, in terms of branding, every stage of my career, from application through to today, I am conscious of how I'm perceived, both internally, externally, both digitally, and both face-to-face, both in person. And it's really important to consider that. And it's something that if you do pay attention to it, it can really, really help you as you sort of move your career forward. So that brings up to the half-hour mark, as promised. I'm conscious that everybody's at the end of a long virtual term, and there's a lot of virtual fatigue and lag out there. So I kept it clear and concise to half an hour to allow for questions now at the end. Just something I'd just like to know is, I mentioned the QR code a couple of times. It'd be great if you could register details with me. Those that register details, I'll pull 3 random names out of a hat, and I'll post you a box of beautiful sweets, everyone's favourite sweets there in the middle. Just a little thank you. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. Everything I've sort of said, I'm going to answer the question for you because people are often unsure about the response. But the question I'm going to ask is, from a branding perspective, if an employer, a great graduate employer such as Enterprise, sent you a prize for attending a fantastic careers webinar to develop your skill set, what would be a great branding exercise for you to share that with your network? Now, I did this the other day with the university in North Wales, and I sent a lady a box of sweets such as this because she registered and pulled the name out of the hat. What she did was she connected with me on LinkedIn. When she received the goodies, she put a wonderful post out, a little video of her opening them and acting all surprised and excited, despite the fact she knew what was in the box. And she put a little note out, and she copied in her university, her careers department, myself, and said, attended a fantastic workshop with Enterprise Rent-A-Car to learn all about personal branding. I just wanted to share that with my network and say thanks to Enterprise. I think it shared about 110 sort of likes and comments on that post, which is phenomenal. And that lady's looking to apply for graduate positions. She's actually applied with us, but she's looking to apply for positions over the next sort of 2 months. And that's going to really help her because it just goes to show that creative side, and it's just something to sort of broaden the horizon. So again, just think about what branding opportunities could present themselves. And that's just one example for me to leave you with. So I'll open up to any questions now. The chat box is open. No questions, a daft question. It can be about personal branding, digital branding. You can ask me any questions about interviews, any anecdotal stories you'd like to know about, or anything. And it'd be great to get a couple of questions. I can see Morgan's typing away, so a couple of questions always makes me feel good because I feel like you've all been listening. Then.
Thank you, Jamie. That was a really great presentation. Very insightful, especially for the students. We do actually have the first question in the chat box from Morgan. I don't know whether you're able to view that. It's apart from making your space ready for the interview. What would you say are the hit points an employer would look for when having a digital interviewer? How can we make the best first impression and secure a positive outcome?
So, if I understand the question correctly, Morgan, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So it's a lot of things I've spoken about. So if you think about it, the hit points that we're looking for is, and here's the thing, right? You've got to think about this point, right? When you apply for a job, if the job has asked for a degree or a certain level of qualifications, I think you'd be right in assuming that everybody's probably going to have those qualifications. If the application's asking for somebody that has an interest in finance or business or operations, you can probably guess that everyone that applies to the position will probably have those interests, right? So it's really important to think about, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you differentiate yourself to the other candidates? Now, throughout an application and a branding exercise, there's something I always think it's super important to look to consider. And this is something that I will tell candidates, but they're successful. They created interview memorable moments. An interview memorable moment is when you remember the candidate for a reason, and it's not because they've got a degree. It's not because they've got. It's not because they've got certain things. It's because they're interesting, and they're telling stuff about their extracurricular activities, their volunteering, their mentoring, their work experience, etc., etc. I'm just going. Morgan's put a follow-up point in. I'm just going to read that. I'm a study of culinary arts management. Understand the importance of personal branding, but my skills lie in very practical approach and show off my skills through work placement or trial shifts. My skills lie in a very practical approach and show off my skills through work placement and trial shifts. So I guess. So if the question is how do you attract people to get you into that situation, again, it's about all the branding things that are aforementioned in the presentations. It's all about making yourself look interesting, making yourself looking more than just like every other culinary arts management student that's got a qualification or a degree. If I haven't answered your question, just pop me some follow-ups in there, or reach out to me direct, Morgan. I can come back to you. Got another question? Fantastic presentation so far, really useful, but I do have to leave for meeting. Another question. See you later. Already gone. Got another comment in there. That's brilliant. Thank you. Brilliant. Any other questions? Anything else that you would like to know? Great opportunity while you've got me here.
I had a quick question for you, Jamie. You mentioned in the beginning of your presentation regarding volunteering. What would be the best way for students to go about this? So I know you mentioned LinkedIn as well in terms of networking, but is there any other way that the students can get involved in volunteering side of things and how it will support them with their future career?
Yeah, there's loads of different routes into volunteering. I mean, I think often a good place to start is looking at what opportunities are available in the organisations that you study in or work in. Often universities are always looking out for people to volunteer to help out in outreach projects or internal mentoring. Also, just volunteering in time, looking for societies and clubs to be part of. It gives us as a recruiter something interesting to talk to candidates about, because like the amount of times we see on an application form, I enjoy football and socialising. It's difficult to ask somebody a question about that. I enjoy Netflix. Okay, great. So do I. But I want to know more about you. So give me some information that I can really dig into, something that I want to know about. So, for example, if someone put on there, for example, I'm an active member of the Afro-Caribbean Society. I'm an active member of the Art Society and volunteer my time to help out on certain projects, etc., etc. That's something interesting. I probably want to dig in on that. And what interviewers do is they prepare questions before the interview. So what I'd probably do with my highlighter or my keyboard is I'd highlight that point there about that volunteering and that society that you're part of. And then that would be one of my questions that I'd ask about. And that would create that moment. Now, what you'll find is on application forms, there's always a section for you to put stuff like that on. And what we tend to find is with applications is people do not treat applications like a CV. You've spent 5 years perfecting your CV to within an inch of its life, so it's perfect, grammatically sound, and reads really, really well. But when people do application forms, for whatever reason, they get fooled into thinking it's not a CV, and they fill it in, they don't really expand on stuff, they don't really put things in there that we want to see, and then it gets rejected and they wonder why. So it's really important to treat an application form with the same time and effort that you would your CV. A great top tip for you if you've got the beauty of dual screens, or if not, just get a printed copy of your CV or get it up behind your desktop, and then you can almost cut and paste pieces from your CV into an application form and make sure you've got that same level of detail as long as it's applicable to the fields. So again, it's super important to get out there and really network yourself. Look, do consider applications from candidates who are willing to relocate around the UK because of the current lack of opportunities in some cities. Absolutely. One thing I would say about Enterprise is it's a really wonderful organisation to start a career in. The reason for that, and this is like me being really honest, is because A, it offers a really broad managerial path, which you've got great career opportunity, training and development, but also you could probably do it in your hometown. We have Enterprise locations in most neighbourhoods. We've got over 300 locations in the UK, and every UK location has graduates working in it. So the chances are you will be able to work in your hometown or near to your hometown, and we always try and place you within 20 minutes commute of where you live. And we can pretty much do that. And we anticipate being able to do that very, very early in sort of January, February. So that early registration, like I've proposed, is really important because it gets your name in the hat, sort of thing. Another little point on there from Morgan: what is your opinion on using influencers for branding yourself or a company you choose to work for? I use Instagram, for example, in my dishes I've cooked, and this is how you get personal brand out. Yeah, that's a really, really good point, Morgan. And do you know what? I bet your chicken tastes much better than Nando's. It is. If you're applying for something that's creative, if you're applying for something that's different, that people do position things such as cooking and showpiecing dishes and art or whatever it might be from a creative environment. Yeah, using things like Instagram, Facebook. I've seen all those Gordon Ramsay things when he's rating people's plates and food, and yes, I think that would be a really, really positive thing. Provided it was done in the right sort of taste and done appropriately. Again, I put the point back to you, Morgan. Just think about, is your brand is how you perceive yourself and how other people perceive you. So as long as you're happy with how people will perceive what you're doing, then go ahead with it. If you're not so sure, then maybe get advice from somebody else and then proceed from there. But no, yeah, great question. Any other questions while you've got me?
Did you answer the question from one of the students above? So if you are not sure what position to apply for, would it be better to apply for a lower one or the higher one?
Okay, yeah. So in terms of, I mean, I'll answer this from a very personal perspective. Like, I always aim high, and I think what we tend to see at Enterprise is some people will apply to 27 roles that we've got open. And then it gets really hard from a recruitment perspective to pin down where that person wants to actually work. And it does call into question potentially the validity of the application. But if there's a few places you're interested, a few positions you're interested in or places, then what you can do is you can apply to a couple, and then when you get that response back from the recruiter, then you can engage with them in a conversation and sort of say, hey, I am actually interested in other positions, but I didn't want to sort of overload things, bombard things. These are my preferences. Could you advise me the best way to go around that? And think about it from a recruiter's perspective. We get so many applications. If you can help us find out where you actually want to work and what you want to do, then it's really helpful for us and really useful. So I think I've answered that question, Sabath. I think that's what they're getting at.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got a few more questions coming in, I believe. But any more questions, guys, please do pop it into the public chat for us. But Jamie, so far it's been fantastic, and thank you very much, obviously, for your time and for you to obviously come on board and present this for our students. This session is recorded, guys, so it will be sent to all of you guys after. Hopefully by tomorrow, you should receive the link. But is probably the last question, not sure. Obviously, you got the QR code on the slide here. So did you want to go through that one more time so the students can understand how it works and what they're required to do?
Yeah, all you need to do is get your camera out on your phone, hold it up. It'll come up with Enterprise website link. You click on that. That takes you to a 4-stage process. It's literally 4 fields: your name, year of graduation, what you're studying, and where you'd like to work. And then a little box to tick: are you happy for us to send you information about jobs? You won't be spammed with jobs. I manage the link, so what I would do is I would then send you opportunities for placements and graduate opportunities that are going live now. And in there, I'd also extend the offer of any application support. So I'll give you a quick example. I did an exercise like this about a month ago, and with a load of students, and I've got 11 students now into final stage interviews, and I've managed every step of the process with the candidates. I work directly alongside a team of 11 recruiters. I know all the recruiters by name, and I'm very good friends with them all. So if I get a good candidate that engages with me, that I've seen on campus, that I think's a really good option for a hire, I'll champion you and I'll really help you with your application. I can't influence the decision, but I can really help you put things forward and position yourself in a good way. So yeah, and that's kind of my role. My role is sourcing talent and assisting people. And there's nothing better than when you found somebody at a careers talk or on campus, and then you see in 2 years' time they're a branch manager or they're working in a head office having a fantastic career. That's probably the best bit about the job. One quick question there. I've just seen one pop in. Okay, thank you. If we were graduating in June, what would be the best to start applying for job, especially with COVID ongoing? and restaurants are closed, etc. Apply for me, get in early. The world is applying for jobs right now. We opened our jobs. We had to freeze them because of the volume of applications, just so we could process the candidates we had in. So it's really, I would get ahead of the game, get applications in, and be resilient. If you get a few no's, then just keep going. Look at your brand. Is your brand strong? Is it representative of what you want to represent? And then last question, from a recruiter's perspective, how long do you have to view each application, and how can we make the best impact? That one's a really interesting one to answer. We do not use algorithms. We use human beings to look at CVs and applications. But that said, do we read every word on it? Probably not. There's key sections that people go to. People always go to the person's name to see who they are and where they're from. They'll go to what degree they've studied and what grades they got. And then they'll go to work experience, and then the other section, which people don't use to the full extent, and I've said this, that's a big part of your branding, the section that allows you to expand and talk about your interests and hobbies, sometimes it's referred to. And putting Netflix and socialising doesn't really do it for me. It's got to be something a bit more impactful and interesting. So that's the best way to get through to the next stage. If it's a slapdash application with very little information on it other than what's been asked, then you may well get a no. It's about making that application form look really powerful. Thank you. All the questions. Morgan wins the award for the most questions.
Great stuff. I don't think there's any more questions. We just got a few more typing up. Normally we do, of course, host the on-campus interviews as well with yourselves, but obviously due to the current situation, we haven't been able to this year. Hopefully we can possibly set something up virtually for next year, but that's something we can discuss. So bear that in mind, especially to all the students that have joined in. And if you are interested in applying for any roles, feel free to get in touch with myself, and I'm more than happy to pass on any details. But as Jamie mentioned, you can, through this QR code, apply for vacancies as well, which Jamie can send across. So that's just something that we can support you with. But any more questions? Is there anything else that you would like to ask Jamie? Okay, so there's quite a few thank yous. So great stuff. But yeah, no, thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoyed. Presenting that for our students, and of course, and all the thank yous from the students as well. But I'll be sharing the recording afterwards. So thank you very much.
Lovely. I've got another presentation to jump on at 1. So I love you and leave you, everybody. Happy Christmas, and I'll drop you an email later on today. So thank you very much.
Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.